Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Patty Lago, and I'm a program manager with McMaster University Continuing Education. We are delighted to welcome you all to our wonderful Essential Programs webinar, Seeing Things Through a Different Lens. Our aim with Essential Programs is to engage, inspire, and support lifelong learning and discovery. So we're really excited to be able to share information with you all today. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the land on which we reside. McMaster University recognizes and acknowledges that it's located on the traditional territories of the Mississauga and Haudenosaunee nations and within the lands protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Today, I'm joined by facilitator, amazing Christine Costa. Christine is a seasoned human resource professional, organizational development consultant, and facilitator with over 20 years of experience in various roles in industry, including financial services, technology, and higher education. Christine holds an MBA from McMaster University and is passionate about continuous learning. She has spent her career coaching leaders and teams to help them reach their full potential. Christine is currently an entrepreneur and owner of Christine Connects, a professional training and facilitation practice that helps people create connections with their teams, themselves, and the environment. Christine has been a facilitator and a teacher at both high school and university levels and is currently an instructor with McMaster Continuing Education. In her spare time, she loves making music and spending time in nature. As an active and valued member of McMaster Continuing Education community, Christine is presently the assigned instructor teaching ESS 805, Unconscious Bias, How We Make Decisions, ESS 807, Cultivate Belonging with Personality Dimensions, and ESS 903, Managing in a Unionized Environment, ESS 908, Unconscious Bias, Moving from Bystander to Advocate, and HRM 901, Human Resource Management. Without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce you to Christine. So over to you, Christine.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Patty. Welcome to everyone. I see some familiar names in the participant list. It's great to meet all of you. And I'm here to give you a little bit of an insight into one of the ESS programs that Patty mentioned. And, just give you a little bit of learning over probably for some of you, your Ontario lunch hour, and seeing things through a different lens. So let's just go ahead and get started and into this. I've got a picture up here, and I would love for you to just put into the chat, what are some words that describe this picture to you? And hint, there's no right answers. So just tell me, what do you see? Yeah, and as you can already start to see, we all see different things. Hence the different lenses, right? Some urgency, some panic maybe from these individuals, a rush, just bustling. Maybe they're running behind. Maybe it's just life. Rushing to a meeting, hectic. So many different things come up, right? Yeah, maybe there's an emergency. Yeah, maybe you ask, why would you even run in heels? Amazing, right? We all pick up so many different things, and I love asking that. All right, let me give you another one. This picture, 4 individuals. You might recognize what movie this might come from, and maybe that will influence your perspective on what you see here. But again, what words would you describe? What words would you use to describe this picture? Yeah, maybe there's some stress, maybe already in a defensive mode. Maybe there's confusion. They're just nature. Maybe they're eco warriors. Exactly. Maybe they're ready to be curious. Maybe there's some fear, banding together. Someone's even seen Jumanji in here, City Slickers. Yeah, exactly. So many different perspectives. I love it. And you can just even see the power of all of your different perspectives. Wow, we could even go into a different tangent around brainstorming. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all your perspectives. Yeah, outdoors. So yeah, you might be looking at their faces, the context, all of this. So your perception is really your reality, and your perception is the lens that you wear and how you see the world, right? So perception is how you regard, you understand, you interpret something. And this is our brain, right? And all of the different senses and how we're filtering things, and really too how we're processing all the different stimuli in our environment. It's natural. We're all going to see different things because there is so much stimuli. We can only take in so much. And then there's reality. It's kind of like this picture here, right? Depending on from what angle maybe you're looking at things, you might see a 6, maybe someone else might see a 9. Just depends. And then, of course, there's reality. So that's the world or the state of things as they actually exist. Now, we could get into another conversation. Do any of us actually see reality? Well, for now, just consider we're always wearing some type of lens, right? We're always going to have that filtered perspective and that perception. And it's important for us to realize that, right? Our perception is not really reality. Acknowledging this, being self-aware, and then think about now the implications to your personal life, to your professional life, especially, right? And how we interact with others. For this picture here, the gentleman's not necessarily wrong that it's, a 9. It's just from his perspective. And so again, acknowledging, perception is not really reality. And it's just that lens that you wear, and we all wear it. So it piqued your interest a little bit into this, not to get too far into it, but to explain that perception is influenced by a number of things. So especially with the pictures that you saw earlier, right? Depends on the situation. It's also going to depend on what you're perceiving, so that target, and then you as the perceiver. So let me give you a different scenario. So if there was 2 individuals witnessing a car accident, for instance, 2 individuals are going to see different things. They're going to pick up on different things, right? Think about the situation, maybe the weather conditions, or the speed of the vehicles, or the colors of the cars, and then the actual target, and just the sounds maybe that the tires are making, maybe the smell of burnt rubber, right? Their perceptions of the accident could differ because of that. And then think about it from the perceiver's perspective. So those 2 individuals, based on their past experiences, might have different perceptions, right? Maybe one person's already been in a car accident and they perceive it, much more differently. And maybe that leads to heightened anxiety and fear about the situation, while maybe the other person has never been in that situation and just feels relatively calmer. Maybe their cultural background, their attitudes, their values also play into that, right? Maybe, one individual comes from a culture of individualism and just, automatically blames that driver for carelessness. While as the other individual, maybe they really just believe it was just fate or destiny, right? We see so many different things. So our attitudes, our interests, our experience also shape and makes it complex too, just around the how we perceive a particular situation. So you can definitely, take an introductory psychology course to learn lots more about the process of perception and all the factors involved. But for purposes of this conversation, it's really about personal self-awareness, right? How do you perceive things? How aware are you of that? And how can you appreciate that we all come from a different perspective as well? Because this really will influence your work relationships, your performance, and just making sense of the world around you. And so this picture that I just brought up is another classic example of how we see things differently, right? Different lenses. If you have that half full glass, some individuals will say that it's almost full, and some might say it's almost empty. And this is really connected to perceivers, and people will make assumptions about personality. So maybe someone being an optimist versus a pessimist. So let's get into personality. So that's one aspect. So remember, perception is many different things, those lenses that we all have. all different factors that are involved. But one of them that really interests me is people's personalities, our innate way of being. So personality, broadly described, is those characteristic patterns that we all have, our thoughts, our feelings, our behaviors. This is what makes us unique. So really, it's just what makes you you. And again, you can take that intro psychology course or many others, but you will find that personality is both a product of biology and our environment. And it has been found to be relatively consistent through life too. So, think about those personality traits, how you might describe someone. Someone's very generous or very caring. Maybe they're a bit of a perfectionist, or maybe they're loyal, protective of their friends. There's so many words that we use, right, to describe personality and how we behave again. And the word personality, if you didn't know, it stems from the Latin word persona, which refers to the theatrical mask worn by performers to play roles or to disguise their identities. So again, they kind of liken it either to masks or different filters that we all have, and this affects how we see the world, right? And so again, if you've ever taken a psychology course, you've learned about personality theory. There are there's a number of theories out there to describe personality and to describe human behavior. For me, I've always been interested. What makes us tick? Why do we behave the way we do? And if you get into depth around this, definitely you can get into the different traits that make us us, right? And explore the impacts of our different cultures and where we live. But really, personality theories are a result of a lot of experiments, case studies, and led by scientists in psychology and human behavior. And just as I mentioned, your personality, it's unique to you, right? And it's shaped by your experiences and again, your culture and where you are, the work environment that you're in. It makes you you. And as I mentioned, it may subtly change over time, but truly your true personality would remain fairly consistent over your lifetime. And so one of the models that I really like to use, especially in workshops, and for those of you that have participated with me in various team building workshops, is personality dimensions. We know that all of us are complex, and one theory definitely and one model isn't going to explain all of our behavior. But I really like using this with teams and individuals to help shape individual self-awareness and just appreciate differences and all these different lenses that we wear. And it's kind of fun. So personality dimensions, just to give you a bit of background, it's a Canadian tool that was developed by Career Life Skills Resources Incorporated. For short, CLSR. And over a number of years, Dr. Linda McKim was hired to develop this assessment tool. Something that was fun, easy to remember, really it can be applied to your self-discovery, right? Help you understand your work preferences, your individual preferences, your style. And this then can be applied to leadership, can be applied to career planning at all different times. A popular question I get is this different or similar to True Colors? It is similar. It builds on True Colors. True Colors is an American tool developed by Don Lowry, and personality dimensions, again, being used internationally, but Canadian-based, it provides additional details around those personality temperaments, as we call them. And like I said, I like using it. It's kind of easy. It's a nice kind of baseline to help you discover yourself and others. So really understanding yourself, like I mentioned, it helps you recognize that you have your own unique blend of strengths and qualities that you bring into all kinds of situations, especially work situations. And the big thing is you learn to appreciate that we all have these different lenses, right? We all value, prioritize different things. And again, in a fun way, we're able to explore this. And then, the big thing out of this is hopefully you can use this knowledge of yourself then and of others to improve your interpersonal relationships. So whether, again, that could be personal, but definitely at work, a lot of this that I do teach and run on workshops really focuses on the work perspective. A lot of times if you experience work conflict or tensions, a lot of that can just be because we don't understand where each other are coming from, right? We're seeing things, thinking that they're reality, but remembering that we have those different lenses. And overall, I really see this as a benefit in being able to understand others to help improve our sense of belonging. How do I fit in? Are there others that are kind of like me? How can we appreciate and celebrate all of those different differences? So to give you a little of insight into this particular model of personality dimensions, these pictures actually describe the four temperaments that are part of this model. So we have our inquiring greens, that's on the left there, our organized golds, our resourceful oranges, and authentic blues. Now, you might see yourself in all of these. And again, these pictures are very specifically put together that really describe those temperaments. You're going to see different things. You're going to see things that you might, really like, you might react to right away. And like I said, if you're already trying to figure out which one you are or most are, I will emphasize that you are a combination of all of them. You're going to bring out skills from each of these at different points in time. Some individuals, though, will be definitely, more of one than the other. Some of us, might be more of a blend. But each of the dimensions, you can start to see they all have unique strengths, right? That you can leverage at work, whether it be planning an organization or creativity or flexibility and adaptation, like our resourceful oranges, or being highly analytical. All of those are really amazing strengths that hopefully you do connect to and you do focus on. But we all have those preferences too in how we see the world. So let me go back to one of the pictures that we had at the beginning. And many of you illustrated this, right? All of you picked up different things. So to give you a little bit of connection to those temperaments, if you're really coming at it from an authentic blue, you might have focused maybe on the emotions or the feelings being expressed by these people, right? You would have tapped into the kind of the chaos or how they were feeling. Or resourceful oranges may have focused on what they were doing and the busyness and the action that was happening, the hurry, maybe again, someone mentioned about, having a corporate job, whatever it might be. Or organized golds, you might have tapped into thinking, yeah, they're late. Organized golds really value time, right? What is it? What's the goal here? Where are they going? What's happening? And our inquiring greens, you might have wondered maybe even just what got them to this point, right? What were the circumstances that maybe even led to this, and kind of analyzing the situation a little bit more. So again, none of it's wrong, right? None of it's, I don't know per se what the reality was of this particular situation, but we all, from our perception, we're all seeing different things. And it's great. And I think we've just explored too, having more individuals, you're going to pick up different things. You're going to pick up different stimuli, right? We're all in tune with different things. And again, perception, heavily influenced by ourselves as the perceiver, your attitudes, your personality, it's going to have that impact. So lastly, I'll connect it to, how can you apply this a little bit to work, right? Like how can you think about your personality dimension and how that plays out? Well, one aspect of work is just how happy we are at work, right? Happiness. So, again, we all have different lenses. So happiness at work is going to look different for all of us. And that's good. So consider yourself, maybe you're a leader of a team. And now you have a team of 10 very unique individuals they're all going to value something different about the job that they're doing. And just even you as an individual at work, right? Consider what makes you happy for your own development in your own career path. That's going to look different from some of your colleagues as well. And so, even in the chat, if I ask all of you, and maybe, you're going to gather some ideas from these pictures, like, what brings you happiness at work, right? We're all going to answer something a little bit differently, but feel free to put some comments in the chat. What are those things that make you happy at work? Yeah, recognition, having some balance, being able to cooperate, just having some coffee, amazing. Feeling productive at the end of the day, having respect. Yeah, loving what you're doing, helping people. Yes, our authentic blues there. Yeah, having a healthy environment, the work that you're doing is so important, right? People that acknowledge. So many different things that we look for. And it's important to be able to acknowledge that. And again, especially from a career planning perspective, right? Yeah, wanting to have a positive impact. So if you, again, just to give you that example and grounding it with these personality dimensions with research that's been done. So authentic blues, you may be individuals that you want to find meaning in your work, right? You're happiest when you can make a positive impact. Your values align to the job, the organization that you work for. You value collaboration, some of the comments that came up, right? A harmonious atmosphere. You want opportunities for personal growth and development. Amazing. Or inquiring greens, they're going to look for something a little bit different. They're really motivated by intellectual challenges. So they're happiest at work, when the work actually stimulates their mind. And some of you mentioned, like, it's about the work, right? You want to solve complex problems, use your analytical skills. And autonomy and independence are going to be really important to these inquiring greens. They want to be able to make decisions, implement ideas, right? And career progression is going to be important for our inquiring greens. If you're an inquiring or an organized gold, you're going to look for stability and structure. That's going to be key for our goals. They're happiest in work environments where things are clearly laid out. There's some clear routines, structured processes, and they will appreciate kind of well-defined systems and attention to detail. Our goals are really value teamwork, collaboration, and being recognized for their hard work. A lot of you mentioned recognition. And that reliability brings satisfaction to our organized goals. And then our resourceful oranges are going to be people that really love hands-on experiences and practical tasks. They want to use physical skills, and you can see some of the differences again in these pictures. Those individuals are going to thrive happiest in a flexible, varied work environment, right? Where they get to tap into a lot of different skills, a lot of different activities. They will look for rewards as well, and immediate feedback is going to be important. And so, you could see a resourceful orange really being happy in a more dynamic work setting, right? Excitement, stimulation, lots of variety. So as leaders, when we take time, if you manage a group of individuals, being able to take time to understand these preferences and customize the work environment is really important. And knowing that everyone has that different lens and different filter that they're looking at the world, right? And then as individuals, I think, and I've done this over my career, it's just fascinating to see how our personalities, jive with what we're doing, how they shape our experience, perhaps, but they also play that role. It's helpful to know what we truly want and need, what really brings us joy and fulfillment to help you in your career planning. And then, overall, as we all acknowledge, kind of honor these differences, we create that environment truly where everyone does belong, and we can all more harmoniously find that happiness as a team and a group, for sure. Yeah, to round that out, I provide this quote by David Kiersey. He's one of the direct contributors, psychologists, to what we know as personality dimensions that I've mentioned. He was always very intrigued by patterns of these four temperaments. So, and I can give you lots of history in psychology and even going back into medicine. It's always been this number of four temperaments to describe human behavior. But really, as human beings, we all thrive for self-esteem, right? But we seek it in different ways. And again, this adds a filter into how we see the world, right? What we value time, we value people, we value problems, whatever it might be. Our wants, our needs, our motives, desires, our preferences are going to be different. And this then all drives kind of our actions and our behaviors. So, the power again comes into just exploring this for yourself as a team, and as a leader, to be able to have, a happier, hopefully conflict-free type of workplace. Yeah, and it really is helpful again from a career perspective, which is what I have found in my own career. So that's just a little bit of a taster of some of the content that we'd be covering in ESS 807 that Patty mentioned. This course through McMaster Continuing Education. It's called Cultivate Belonging with Personality Dimensions. This one is coming up on June 10th and 11th. If you want to join me for this and explore these perceptions and personality dimensions more fully. Even if it's, if you have touched on it before, if you've done true colors before, you want a different perspective, definitely consider joining me. But we'll more fully explore these temperaments and just how we all see the world differently. So you can read the course outline online. And I believe registration will be opening up in about a week or so. And I know one of my colleagues can mention that in the chat. And I just want to mention too, this course isn't just one day of learning. Like I'm going to know everything about myself or everyone around me just, going through this course. It's an introduction, hopefully to pique your interest. And again, maybe it's a refresher. If you have taken something like this before, build upon your understanding of yourself and others. And definitely, if you're interested in bringing this course into your workplace, contact us as well through Patty. It's a really great activity, team building activity for intact teams. So happy to chat with you about that as well. Really, again, gaining that better appreciation for everyone's differences and their strengths.
I'm going to ask you for conclusion or just in reflection for any last final remarks.
Yeah, like I've mentioned, for me, this has just been a lifelong journey of understanding myself. I've always found it really helpful to dive into these topics, whether you've done a course like this before, but, I always learned something different, something new, and hearing other people's perspective that will already give you new insights, new learning, right? That we are all so unique, so different, and just being able to appreciate that will help you in communicating and, exploring your career and finding a job. So yeah, I look forward hopefully to seeing many of you in the upcoming courses, whether it be unconscious bias or this personality dimensions course.
Well, I think we can all agree that Christine, you've done an outstanding job as usual.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome, and thank you for your time and your wonderful knowledge that you shared here today. As we are coming to the close for the winter semester, Christina is scheduled to teach ESS 805 unconscious bias, 908, which is also an unconscious bias moving from bystander to advocate, and then ESS 903, managing unions. So if you have any involvement with that, and that might be of interest to you, those three courses are currently open for enrollment for the winter. And then again, for the spring will be open on Tuesday of next week, March the 12th. So thank you everybody for joining us, our wonderful participants that took the time out to have a lunch and learn with MCE and with Christine. We wish you all the very best, and we look forward to hopefully welcoming you in the future in our essential programs. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Great to see you. I think we had someone from New Zealand on the call. Amazing. Thanks, everyone. Thanks so much, Patty, and the continuing education team for hosting today.
Yeah. Bye-bye.